here's the way people think. Christianity is this, most people can buy the idea of the gospel as far as Jesus puts me in right standing with God. But now that I'm a Christian, most Christians I think would say this, now that I'm a Christian, I need to straighten up. I need to fly right. I need to start working on my life. Well, the problem with that is, if you couldn't straighten up and fly right and work on your life before, what makes you think you can do it now? That's why Paul wrote to the Galatians, "You foolish Galatians, having begun in the Spirit, are you made perfect by the flesh?" But you see, that's kind of how most people think of it. But you see, God begins a work, and He doesn't intend to stop it unless you decide to take over. He intends to do the work. He intends to, yes, that's right, changes need to be made. But it's not, He doesn't look to us. He doesn't say, now that you're a Christian, you better get busy. And I'm just going to stand off here in heaven and watch you through binoculars to see how you're doing. That's kind of what I thought. I had the impression that I had been admitted to an exclusive club on probation, for a probationary period, to see if I could live up to the expectations of this exclusive club. And in the back of my mind, I had this kind of secret fear that if I messed up too bad, I might get kicked out of this exclusive club. And I think a lot of Christians think that. But no, that's not true either. Jesus said, and I'm quoting now from the Message, "Everyone that the Father gives me will come to me, and once that person's with me, I hold on, I don't let go." I like that. That's how the Message said it. But what about this situation now in our lives? Well, here Paul addresses that. Here in verse 29, it begins this way. It says, "For whom he did foreknow." And by the way, let me just stop right there. I know it's not very polite to stop in the middle of the sentence, but Paul's sentences go on verse after verse. It starts with the word "for." That tells you there is some before that, right? The verse before that starts with "and." The verse before that starts with "moreover." He just goes on and on and on. So I'm just going to stop for a moment and talk about it. He says, "Whom he did foreknow." Now, he's talking about us. Here, we're the subject, Christians. Now, this is an interesting thing you should consider. God knew you ahead of time. Foreknow means to know before. He knew you ahead of time. You think He's that smart? Yes, He is. Yes, He is. You mean that He could know everything about me before I was ever born? Yes. That's what it means when it said He foreknew. That means He foreknew everything about you, both your good points and your bad points, both your flaws and your positive characteristics. Now, concerning the things that are bad, concerning the flaws, concerning the failures, concerning the sins, that's why He sent Jesus to the cross. But you see, the point you need to understand by this is that He foreknew. He knew ahead of time. So He's not surprised. Nothing catches Him off guard. He doesn't ever fall off the throne and say, "Oh, you angels, help me. I didn't expect that to happen. Now what are we going to do?" He's not ever taken off. He knew ahead of time everything about our lives. Now this is what Paul wants to put into our minds. He foreknew who we were ahead of time. It says, "For whom He did foreknow," that's us, "He also did predestinate." Stop right there. This word predestinate is such a loaded word. It's such a power-packed word. It's like code word for this whole body of theology that I think is rather dubious and doubtful. Most people think, I think, and I base this, when I say most people, I just base it on conversations I've had with people. Let's just put it this way. There is a body of thought. There are some people who think the word predestinate and predestination means that God, now see what we see ahead of He foreknew. But they take that a step further and say that God made all the decisions about who's saved and who's not saved. Some people think that God sat up in heaven, and with His foreknowledge, He says, "I'll take this one, but that one I don't want." See, that creates a sense of fear, because how do you ever know? Well, if that's the way it is, you can't ever know. Do you hear that? You can't ever know. You can make assumptions, but you can't ever know. And also, here's another thing that says. If God, listen, just consider this. If God sits up in heaven and says, "I'll take that one, but I won't take that one," that means He is a respecter of persons. That means He chooses between people. Paul tells us right here in this book of Romans that God is no respecter of persons. That means He treats everybody exactly alike, is what that means. He is no respecter of persons. Well, the other side might argue, well, He knows who's going to be holy and who's not. Nobody's holy. There's none righteous, no, not one. Everybody's in the same boat. Think about some other passages of Scripture. Are you guys bringing me a sign? Oh, what does it say? They got a sign back there. "Sing happy birthday to Lily." Okay. Where is she? Okay, we'll do that in just a minute. Thank you, guys. That was really cute. Yeah, that's good, because I don't know. I don't know whose birthday's from. You think I know. You think I carry around everybody's birthdays in my mind. Oh, you got another thing coming. I'm doing good if I remember my own and my wife's. Got to remember hers, even if I don't remember mine. You know, our anniversary is like 2 days later. No, let's see. Anniversary, no, birthday, her birthday, then my mom's birthday, then our anniversary, or something like that. I should get it straight. Anyway, I get them all confused, and I've been in the doghouse before for getting those mixed up, as you can understand. No, listen, if God sits up in heaven and chooses who's going to be saved and who's not going to be saved, what do you do with a verse like John 3:16, which everybody knows? It says, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him. Now that makes it sound like he loved the world universally and gave Jesus for the world universally, and that whoever believes in him shall not perish. And that's the way it is. That's true. What I'm saying is this word predestinate, here's all it means. Just like the word seems to imply. See, look at the word predestinate. See, pre, that means ahead of time, right? Before. Pre means before. Destinate is like our word destination. It means to choose a destination. That's what it means. To predestinate means to prearrange a destination, a end point. That's what it means, to prearrange a destination. That's what, when you see this word, you can understand it that way. It means, and let's consider it in the verse, see if it makes sense. For whom he did foreknow, that's you and me, he also did make a prearranged destination. What is that prearranged destination? The end point for us. To be conformed to the image of his Son. That makes good sense, doesn't it? Now notice, again, in light of what I've been saying earlier, he doesn't say, now you people who call yourselves Christians, you better get busy and start acting like my son. It didn't say that, did it? It said that he knew ahead of time, and those he foreknew, he knew us. You see, the thing of it is, some people believe the gospel. We're sitting here today because of that. Some people don't believe the gospel, but it's for them whether they believe it or not. Jesus died for all those people. But you see, because we believe, we're on the inside, and they can be too if they'll believe. See, that's what Paul says in 19:11 about the nation of Israel. They're on the outside because of unbelief. But he said if they change and believe, they'll be on the inside with the rest of us. That makes sense? It's not God choosing, it's individuals who choose. But for those of us, and he foreknew, he knew us ahead of time. He made a prearranged destination. And what is that prearranged destination for us? To be conformed to the image of his Son. He has made that plan for us. And that's what he intends to happen with us. He didn't tell, of course we want to cooperate with it, obviously, but that's the idea, to be conformed. Now that word conformed means to be shaped into the mold, or to be fitted to, or to be just like, if we want to say it that way. To be just like his Son. Now that's pretty remarkable. To be conformed to the image of his Son. That's Jesus we're talking about. In other words, he has in mind that for those of us who believe, for Christians, the end point for us is we're going to be just like Jesus. Now, even when I said that out of my mouth just now, that sounded really wild. That sounds really far-fetched, but that's his plan. It reminds me of something, and I know I've told you this before. April came home one day with these trees from Walmart, and the reason, and she said they were on sale. That's how she explained why she bought them. It's, well, you know, she probably could have bought them anyway if they weren't on sale, but they were on sale, and the reason they're on sale, this is a little clue. If something on sale, it means it's either damaged or it's, you know, something's wrong with it, or generally speaking, not always. I guess they could put brand new stuff on sale. That could happen. But generally, well, these trees, these were not the best trees in the world. The reason they were on sale was the season was almost over, and they didn't look very good. And especially, she had me get them out of the back. We had a van then. Get them out of the back of the van. And they were wrapped with burlap around the roots, you know. And there were 3 of them. And one of them especially looked really pitiful. And it made me laugh when I pulled it out because it had a tag on it. It said apple tree. And showed a picture of this beautiful apple tree with branches all over the place and apples, beautiful apples hanging off of it, leaves and branches, this beautiful shady tree. And this picture is attached to this, what looked like a broom handle in a burlap bag. Just a stick. And it looked like it was dead, too. Just a not very promising, but it had that picture attached to it. Well, see, you see, the picture is telling you what it is by nature, you see. Now, when he says here, we're predestinated to be conformed to the image of his Son, that's like the picture on the tag. He's telling us, as Christians, that's who you are now by nature. Now, you might look at your